YouTube, I wanted to give an update on how I'm doing with the 100 book challenge that I announced as a personal challenge for myself last week, because last year was my first time participating in the 100 book challenge here on BookTube, and I didn't know if they were going to do it again this year. But funny enough, today Ollie over at Criminale announced that it's officially going to be the 100 book challenge starting on November 5th. So I'm starting a bit early, but yeah, I'm going to be coincidentally participating in that event. So as I mentioned, for me, I'm going to do 100 books, and I'm going to include books I read and books I unhaul. So as of right now, I am at 27 books, and it's not exactly even with the books I'm unhauling versus read, but we'll get into that. So I think I got the same as last year, where I kicked off the challenge for myself as like an easy win of just perusing my shelves to see if there's anything like dead weight, anything that I no longer want to read, or like as I mentioned before, books, a bulk of my books last year, like I feel like half, were books on ebook that I could easily get on my Kindle and not take up any bookshelf space. So I'll quickly run through the books I am unhauling for one reason or another. So I have a box set of the Babysitter Club mystery series by Anne M. Martin. I I started reading these books as an adult a couple of years ago when Sarah over at the Bookish Knitter was doing a reread of these, and she talked about how she loved them as a kid. I never read these as a kid, even though they were very popular. So these books I can get on Libby through my library app for ebooks, and so I don't need the box set, even though it's really cute. And I'm not at the mystery series yet, and I've had this box set for a couple of years, and I'm getting closer to being, because I'm reading them in order. I can't exactly remember what book I'm on right now. I think somewhere in the 40s. So I'm coming up to this, but I don't need to hold on to this. So that's going to be leaving my house. And then I have several romance books that I'm going to be getting rid of because I can get them on ebook, the majority of them. And I just been really liking reading romance books through my library, because most of them I enjoy them. But I don't need to keep them on my shelves, or I don't often reread romance books. Although Pride and Prejudice, that's one that I'm like constantly rereading. So I'm just gonna, I guess, I don't know, share a stack of these or what? Yeah, let's see. This works out. So these are all the romance books that I'm getting rid of for one reason or another. There's one when I did a try a chapter tag. No, not tag. Yeah, because that's the thing going on BookTube a couple of years ago. But where you read one chapter and see if you want to keep it or read it or not. So this is one that was recommended to me by Amy over at Zoe Beck when I went book shopping with her at Powell's. And this is like one of her favorite authors and series. She loves urban fantasy. And I've dabbled in that in the past, like 10 years ago or so. But it's not a genre I go to or pick up very often. And so I wanted her to recommend to me a series I can get into, and so she recommended this one, written and read by Anne Bishop. This is the Others series, and so this is one I can get on my Kindle or audiobook. And also, when I was reading the first chapter, it's like a stiff mass market, so it's like you're constantly like prying it open, and it has like small font, and like the words are like right in the margin there, so you have to like really open it up to read it. So it was a hindrance and annoying. So this is one I will be reading, but on a different version, a different format than this. So those are all gonna go. And then I have a couple of history books. This one is Robert Lucky, The Wars of America, and it's quite hefty. And this is, I think it's like an abridgment of the different books that he wrote. Because I know there's one on the American Revolution and the Civil War, because I have his like probably almost the same size as this one, like 1,000 pages on the Civil War that I want to read. But I don't need an abridgment, and I feel like this is the type of book that would sit on my shelf for quite a while, because if I want an overview of any of these American wars, I could just go to Wikipedia. So yeah, this is going to be leaving my house. And then I have several American Heritage collection, like magazine reprints and newspaper reprints that I flipped through all of these looking at like, you know, like cursory looking over what the articles were about, and mostly like paying attention to like the pictures and things like that. But these are nothing that I you know, need to read through cover by cover. So, and I have quite a few of these like coffee table type books on my shelf. They just linger. I like picking them up, but then they just sit on my shelf forever. And so this one, I've had this whole collection. Oh, sorry, my dog is barking. There's something probably walking right by. But yeah, they just linger on my shelves, even though I like picking them up. So yeah, there's all sorts of like magazine, newspaper article type things in here. And I've picked up these on and off throughout the years, but I don't think I should going forward, because yeah, like I said, I don't read them once I pick them up. So that is, how many books is that? Because I said there's 27 total. So let's see how many I've actually read. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. So okay. So that means there was 19 here that I'm getting rid of that count towards the 100 books. And then I have 8 that I've read that that are going towards the 100 books. And then I have one that I'm not counting. I haven't read this edition of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. It's an illustrated edition by Jim Kay. I've read many times the trade paperback and hardcovers, but this edition I haven't read. But because I didn't include it in my number when I was looking through my shelves, I have 294 unread books. Although that's changing now. But when I did that count, I didn't include these books. So that's why I'm not counting this book for the challenge. But let me see here. Let's see. We'll just go in order. We'll kind of, I don't have these in particular order when I read them. But this one I just read right before sitting down to film this video. And this is book 2 in the series, the covered Wagon Women series. This is focusing solely on 1850 diaries and letters from the Western Trails. And as I mentioned in the introduction, all of the diary entries in this collection have mentioned or to do with cholera, because, you know, I feel like that's like the Western Oregon Trail series, a game that you play as a kid, and like you're always going to die of something like dysentery or cholera. So yeah, this was a theme of this book. It included, was it like 5 or 6 diaries from different women, and it was interesting to read each woman's perspective, because because they didn't correct any of the misspellings in this series, and so often I'm trying to like piece together what they're saying, and then other ones are very like prim and proper with like, you know, perfect English. So that was interesting to read. And then I read the Horn books, Lur Engles Wilder by William Anderson, and this is a slim book. I have several slim books that I went to read, like, again, because this is like week 1 of the challenge for me, so I wanted to like get through some things and then focus on some of my more meatier books, you know, longer books. But this is a collection of different interviews and articles, either by or about Lur Engles Wilder. Some of them focus on her time living in Mansfield, Missouri, and others about her writing. And there are 2 or 3 articles in here, including a couple interviews by now I'm blanking on his name. The illustrator, Garth Williams, the illustrator of the Lur Engles Wilder series. So this was nice to read it. And yeah, they're really quick. Yeah, 54 pages, so easy to get. Sorry for the interruption. I had to stop my dog from getting into something. But I had just talked about reading these 2 books and continuing on with the nonfiction theme. I read Edward Abbey's The Journey Home, Some Words in Defense of the American West. And I had read A Desert Solitaire years and years ago, but this is another book that's been lingering on my shelves, and this is an essay collection of his talking about how he came to his first experience in the American West, and then, you know, how he, you know, made a home of it, and then talking about the different creatures that he's encountered, you know, like, you know, why you shouldn't even want to visit the American West, which I thought was funny. But he's a very strong personality and very strong voice within this collection. I feel like we've only read 2 of his books, but within both those books, you for sure get a sense of who he is. I don't always agree with what he's saying, but he's still interesting to read about nonetheless. Okay, then going to some children's books. I read Help, I'm a Prisoner in the Library by Eeth Clifford. I've never seen the name Eeth before. Like, is it like Ethel or Beth? I'm guessing that's their proper name since it's, you know, the author name on the book. But this is about two kids who get stuck in a snowstorm, and the dad goes off to get some gas at a gas station, and the two kids have to go to the bathroom, and so there's a library right across the street, and so they go to the library, and the librarian doesn't know they're there. So she locks up for the night, and the dad comes back and doesn't know where they are. So he stops by the library, and the woman's like, you know, why are you bothering me? You know, I'm not living there. I don't know who you are, because she also lives in the library. And so she shuts the door and goes to sleep. And the two kids are left wandering around the library, which in a way, isn't that like all of our dreams as a kid? To, like, you know, get locked in the library and like be able to read all the books we want, have the whole library to ourselves for a night. But yeah, it's a little bit spooky in a way. There's a talking bird, and there's these lights that are flickering, and there's a snowstorm outside, and the phones are down. So this was entertaining enough. Then I read Flip Flop Girl by Katherine Peterson. She's the author of Bridge to Terabithia. I've read a couple of her books, and this one is about a girl who is new to the area, and so she makes a friend, whether she wants to or not, to be associated with the Flip Flop Girl, because this girl's always wearing flip flops, but she thinks she's a bit weird, but you know, she wants to fit in, and so she's like, it's all about accepting people for who they are, and you know, finding value in people, and not worrying about what the kids are gonna say, you know, like what the popular girls are gonna say, kind of thing. But this was like short and quick. Another quick book was A Path of Colored Leaves by Rachel Carr Klippenstein. I just got this book at not a library, a store that was closing in what's the name of that town? I'm like blanking on the. Well, anyway, it doesn't matter because the store is closed now, because I was there on the very last day, and it was my first time there, and it was called like the bookstore or my bookstore. Anyway, so I just picked this book up, and you know, I had read the back, and so it sounded interesting enough about a woman's experience as a farmer in the West, and then having to be relocated, and then her story of writing her book. And so I didn't know that much about this story going in, but she has written another book. Let's see here if it tells what it is. But the other one, this whole book, The Path of Colored Leaves, is all about her writing this other book. And so, yeah, I can't find it. But so that one sounds much more interesting than this one, because that one was all about, you know, her time, like her farm or her ranch failing, and having to like pick them, like reassemble their lives and start all over again. Whereas this one is about her, really all about her journey of becoming a writer. And this book, it was just okay. I mean, I just feel like, why did she write this one? Like, there's not much to it at all. And there's nothing that really held my attention. And it was a slog to get through. Like, I would be kind of interested in this first one, but her writing itself doesn't do anything for me at all. So this was very disappointing, but luckily I only paid $1 for it. so there's that, but I can't get my time back. That's the one thing. Like, it was short. So maybe like an hour of my time. I can't get that back. But that happens sometimes with books. I think because it was so short is why I didn't drop the book, like, you know, DNF it, you know, don't finish it, but yeah. Then I read MCBeth about William Shakespeare, and this is a manga, adapted to a manga that was done by Crystal S. Chan. And what's cool about these manga series is that they have the full original text of Shakespeare. And so I was belatedly participating in Shtimber that happens every September. And I couldn't participate even though I wanted to, because I was traveling like almost the entire month of September, unfortunately. But I had this much of. There's one other Hamlet that I want to read, and it was so fun to read this, because I read Romeo and Juliet last year for Shtimber, and it's like watching a play or a movie along with reading the text, and so yeah, I really enjoy this format. The artwork and all that is interesting as well. I don't read a ton of manga, but it's easy to pick up. You read, like, you know, you're going right to left, and you're following along on the pages. Yeah, this was fun. I'm for sure going to be reading Hamlet as well later this month. Like I said, belatedly participating in Shtim. And then the last one is Atasha Tudor's bedtime book. Atasha Tudor is an illustrator that I heard about through BookTube from Mitzi's channel, and Mitzi Reads and Writes, is that her channel name? But she had mentioned Atasha Tudor like years ago, and so I found this at a library book sale a couple years ago, and it's just been sitting on my shelf. And so I have several of these children's picture books that are for sure going to be read for the 100 book challenge. Like I always say, picture books, there's no reason at all for them to linger unread on my shelf for years. But this is like, they're all one page fairy tale retellings of different stories. So this is The Babes in the Wood, Sorcerer's Apprentice. There's some that I didn't know about, like the Star Dipper. But they're all, what I liked was all of the illustrations. That's why I bought the book. But yeah, I had a fun time with the illustrations. The stories, not so much, because they're all very short, like a couple paragraphs telling you the story. So I feel like if I wanted a fairy tale retelling, or if just reading fairy tales in general, I would want something, much more in depth. Although fairy tales aren't exactly my thing, but Atasha Tudor is what sold me on reading. I think this book was like 25 cents or something at a library book sale. So yes, there is that. So yeah, a total of 27 books. So I'm doing really good so far. Like 1 week into the challenge. But yeah, I think going forward it's gonna be, I'm not gonna be this this rapid pace to meet my 100 books for sure. But it was a nice, like I said, jump start to get me into the groove of things. And so far, I'm not feeling any regret on starting this challenge or any like itch to go book shopping. I'm good. I'm enjoying the process of shopping my shelves. So anyway, I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, BookTube.